Hey guys, how's it going? I'm back here with another video, and today I decided to bring here a full-on tutorial teaching you guys everything you need to know about React Router. So for those who don't know, React Router is actually a really famous library in React. It is almost like a standard for everyone who's learning React. You need to be familiar and good at using this library, and the reason for that is because React actually create single-page applications. So what React Router does is it allows you to have several different pages in your application, in your website, where JavaScript will be constantly rendered into the page without having to reload the browser. So for that reason, I decided to make this full tutorial. I'll go over every single thing that I think is important to learn on React Router from the beginning till the end. And yeah, that's basically it. Before we actually get into the video, if you guys could leave a like, that would massively help the channel. The algorithm will definitely push this to more people, and it would help the channel grow and allow me to make more videos, which I would really appreciate, because I love making these videos. So if you could leave a like, I would really appreciate it. Okay guys, so as you can see, we have a very simple and beautiful React application. It's beautiful because there's absolutely nothing inside of it. You can see I've only just created, I ran create React app, and I created a simple React application. I just deleted some files, unnecessary files. If you didn't delete them, it won't make any difference. I did delete the index.css, the setup tests, and also the logo. Those are unnecessary for this. But basically you can see we have here our application. It's completely empty. And what I want to do is I want to show you guys initially how to install React Router. So to do that, I'm going to open up my terminal over here, and I'm just going to open up a new tab on my terminal because React is running on this terminal. I'm just going to open this up over here, and as you can see, the only thing I need to do is I need to run the command yarn add react router DOM, like this. And if you're using npm, it's very simple. It's just npm install react router DOM. When we press enter, you'll see it will install our packages, and I'll be back in a second when it finishes installing. Okay guys, so as you can see, it finished installing, which is great. I'm just gonna clear this out and close this terminal. We're just gonna have one simple terminal running our React application. And now that we have React Router DOM, we can actually start using the library. So what exactly does it do? Well, let's look at this. We have here a simple React application. It's on localhost 3000, right? So imagine you're gonna create your, I don't know, a website portfolio. It's just a website talking about your projects. There's an about page. There's all the different stuff, right? And you really want the user to come over here, and imagine this is your website's URL, and you want to be able to do something like /about, and it should go to the about page, right? Currently, this doesn't exist. It doesn't matter what you put on top of here. I can put whatever, and it will continue to show the initial page, whatever is supposed to be rendered. And the reason for that is because normally when you have a website, and it's not using React, for example, you'll have several different HTML files. And what you do is whenever you go to a different route, the server will fetch that HTML file and display it in your screen. However, with React, if you take a look at the structure, it actually has one HTML file called index.html. And everything should be rendered inside of that file. So React Router is perfect because literally what it does is it uses JavaScript to just, whenever you go to a different route in your page, instead of downloading a new HTML file, it just shows whatever you tell them to show. So it shows a component into your screen, which is perfect for us because first of all, it doesn't reload a website. So if your internet speed is bad, it's definitely not going to affect it. And also because it's all dynamic, right? It's perfectly done so that if you're running a React application, it will work perfectly. So this is the basic idea. And to do that, we're actually going to create a website, an example website. So it's going to be similar, like imagine you're creating a resume website and you have I don't know, 3 different pages in your website. How would you actually handle this? I would just start by installing and configuring everything related to React Router DOM. So basically you would go to the highest order component, which in this case is app.js, for example. And you would define your routes in this component. It's the most common way of doing it, so I would recommend doing it on the app.js. So over here, what you do is you start by importing some stuff from React Router DOM. So I'm gonna say import from React Router DOM, like this. And inside of here, we're gonna import some very important components. So the first one will be, we're gonna call it browser router. but we're going to say that we want to call it router. And I'll explain what this means later. But then we also want to import something called a switch, then a component called route, and maybe a component called link for now. Okay, so basically what happens is when you're creating your routes, you need to wrap everything around with a browser router, but since the name is kind of annoying, you can say that I want to import this component and call it router, and that's basically what we do. And this is the standard. I don't know why they just didn't call it browser router, but that's the thing, right? Switch is basically a component that will allow us to display only one page at a time whenever we go to a route, and route is a component which allows us to determine routes. So what we do is we actually delete everything here, and we can just return our router component as the highest order component, as you can see right here. And then inside of it, we can pass a switch component to say that every route inside of this switch component will be independent from each other, which means that if I want to have 3 web pages, it won't be displaying those 3 web pages at the same time. So that's why you need the switch component. And inside of the switch, we can now determine each different route or page that we want to have in our application. And to do that, you use the route component. And inside of here, we can do something like we can tell its path, and the path usually is just the path name of the endpoint, right? So for example, imagine this is the URL of our website, and I want to go to the about page. The path would be /about, right? Because that's what usually would happen. So if we want to determine a route for the about page, we could do something like /about, and that's how we actually determine it. And then we also need to pass some different features. For example, we need to pass the component which will be rendered when we go to this about page. Right now, we actually don't have, we haven't created any component. We haven't created the about page. However, this is kind of the idea, right? I'm just gonna start by creating a folder over here called pages. And you can call it whatever you want. I like to call it pages because it just reminds me that it is like a different page in the website. And inside of here, I would create all the different components, all the different pages that I would have. For example, if I wanted to create an about page, I can just create a file called about.js. And inside of here, we can write some code to show that about page. So for example, let me just write here in the about page, very simply just say something like this is the about page. We're going to change that later, but just so you guys can see that this would probably work. We just created a component called about, and it clearly differs from the component that we have here, which doesn't say anything, right? So if I save this and I import this here at the top, and I'll just close this on the side, I'll just import about from ./pages/about. So I just imported the component and I passed this component inside of here. So about, like this, and we go to our page. You'll see that first of all, let me just not refresh it yet. Let me go to the initial route. This is where you would go when you enter your website, right? This is the initial route of your website. But you can see nothing appears. But if I go to this /about, you can see now that it says this is the about page. So you can clearly see that it is correctly rendering everything based on the URL that you're putting here at the top, which is great. It means it's absolutely working, and it goes back to not showing anything if I go to another route. However, this is just the beginning of how to use React Router. You guys should see a lot more. So right now, what we should do is we should just create more routes. So if we're creating a resume or a portfolio website, we probably want to have a home page. So I'm going to say something like home.js, an about page, then a projects, like a projects page, right, to display my projects. So for the 3 of them, let's just create the components. We just created the home component, and let's create the projects component. And again, let's just like do something very simple for now. Say something like this is the home page, and let's say something like this is let me see, this is the projects page, like this. And what we should do is we should actually now integrate both of these new pages into our router. So how do we do that? Well, what we can do is we can just do the same thing we did before. We can just copy this route and paste it twice, and now we just need to change both the path and the component that is being rendered. So I'm just gonna import the 2 other components to our file over here. I'm going to import a home component, and I'm going to import a projects component. and let's change this to home, and let's change this to projects, like this. And now what we can do is I want to make the about component be this one, so I'm just going to change this to be the home component. And you might think, okay, so the path for this would be /home, right? And it's totally possible. You can call it /home if you want. However, let's think about this. We want the home page to be the page that appears when you enter the website, right? So this is the URL. Imagine this is the URL for your website. It's like google.com or whatever your URL is going to be. So the actual path for this isn't /home. You don't want to go to google.com/home, right? You want to go to just the URL. So the actual path for this is just a simple slash. That's how you determine the path. So over here, if you want to determine this page to be the component that appears when you enter the website, you just put a very simple slash like this. And I want to say that I want to render the home component. So I'm just going to put home over here. Then this should be the projects. Let's say projects. And then let's just render the projects page. Let's see if this is actually working. Let's come over here and let's open up. And you can see that immediately when we go to the URL, it already says this is the home page. Now let's try to go to the projects. Projects. As you can see, it says this is the home page as well. But wait, you can clearly see that it says this is the home page. We're going to the projects and it's saying this is the home page. Now let's try going to the about page. Let's see, why is this happening? Why is it just displaying the home page when we try to go to every single route? The reason for that is because we also need to give another property to each route, which specifies that the route in itself should be actually independent from each other. Like, we only want to display this route. So to do that, we very simply just come over here and say, okay, I want to display exact. I want to make this just exact, like this. You just write exact on each route. And or else what would happen is it would just display the first one that appears. So that's the problem. That's why it was only displaying the home page. Now if we save this, you'll see we are in the about page, and now it says this is the about page. If we go to the projects page like this, it would say this is the project page. And if we go to the initial page, it will say the same thing. Now let's think about this. If I go to like this, it doesn't display anything, right? We're trying to reach a route that doesn't exist. So what exactly do we do? Well, the thing is, I've made a video on this in the past, how to create like a page not found. And I want to show you guys really quick right here how to do that. How do we create a route for all the routes that doesn't exist, right? I want to just display a simple message saying something like, oh, you reached a route that doesn't exist. How do we do that? Well, it's very simple. You come over here and you just create another route, but you put over here a simple asterisk like this, and this will say that every route that isn't determined here at the top should be matched with this. And the component, we can just create another component here called page not found, like this, .js, and we can just customize it to however we want. Right now, let's just say something like, yo, page not found, something like this. And let's see if it works, right? Let's come over here. Let's import this at the top. Another component being imported. And let's call it page not found. And let's just import it from our folder. And now let's render this component whenever you try to reach a route that doesn't exist. Let's see if it works. Let's come over here. And immediately, if I open this up. Oh, I completely forgot as well to... Oh no, it's already exact. Yeah. So you can see we're in the home page, but now let's see what happens if I try to go to a page that doesn't exist. You'll see it will show, yo, page not found. If I try to go to another page that doesn't exist, same thing. If I try to go to the about page, it should actually show the about page. So this is basically how you handle that situation. So now, what do we do? Like, we want to be able to actually navigate through our website without having to change your URL here at the top, right? We want to click on links that send us to other places. And how exactly do we do that? So in order to do that, we're actually going to have to create a very simple navbar. So just like a simple navbar here at the top, where there's going to be links, right? I'm not going to worry about styling it because it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I just want to have a simple navbar at the top, which will appear on every single route, right? Because you want to be able to use it on every single route. So how do we do that? How do we display a component that will appear on every single route and the rest of the route will be the only thing that is changing? Well, in order to do that, what we can do is we can come over here and we can wrap like this router around with a fragment, as you can see, just an empty tag so that we can put more stuff. And right over here, we can actually put HTML or JSX on top of this router. So what would happen is the page will be rendered, and whatever we put over here, like if we create a div over here and says something like website, whatever is below, like it will display this website thing, and whatever is below is the only thing that will change based on the route. So this is great because you can just change specific parts of your website depending on which route you are in. So for example, you can see that every single route will show website. If I go to the about, it will also show website because it's above the router component, right? So this is the basic idea. So if you want to create a navbar that should render everything, we can very simply just do it like this. We can now come here to our website or to our div over here, and we can start by creating some links, right? I just want to style this very simple. I just want to add a style over here. Say something like width is equal to 100, and I want to make this VH as well. So I want to say like 100 VW to mean that I want to make this 100% of the screen width, and then I also want to set the height to be like 80 pixels, something like this, and I want to change the background color. I'll just open this up a bit so you guys can see it better. Background color to something like light blue, like this, right? And I just imported the color name here at the top. So let's save this. Let's see how it looks. It's probably not going to look great, but it obviously doesn't look great. It doesn't even show anything. Oh, it doesn't show anything because we actually don't need to use this. We just need to wrap this around with a string. And you can see that it displays a beautiful navbar that obviously looks ugly. Obviously, you can see there's some margin and padding here at the left. So to actually fix that, I can just come here to my app.css, access the body. This is just something that happens with React applications. If you want to remove the padding and margin, you can just say padding equal to 0 pixels and margin equal to 0 pixels. I know that this is something that annoys a lot of people, so that's why I'm showing it, but you can see now that that's removed. So let's get out of the app.css. We can see we have a navbar here at the top. Now we want to put some links into it. How do we do that? Do we actually just use an A tag like a normal HTML, like something like this, homepage, something like this? You can actually do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. I would actually recommend using a built-in component from React Router DOM called link, and we already imported link from the beginning, as you can see. What link does is it serves as a link, as the name explains, and we can very simply just do something like this, link, and actually I won't make this like this. I'll just actually wrap something over here, and inside of here we can write the name of the link. So for example, if I want to create a link for the home page, we'll say home. And to determine where this link will lead you to, you can say to over here, and you can actually pass the name of the route that you want to go to. So if we save this and we actually paste this 3 times because we want to create a link for each route, let's create one for projects and change this to projects. Create one for about and change this to about. And now what we can do is we can come over here, refresh our page, and you can see that it says that you should not use the link outside of a router. This is actually a very common mistake that happens a lot, and it irritates a lot of beginners because you won't understand wait, what should I do, because this isn't part of the route. How can I use link inside of a router if it's not part of the route? Well, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? The switch is actually what's determining the routes. So we can actually grab this router and put it here at the top. And now we wrap everything around with router, and we can use the link, and it doesn't really matter because the only thing changing will be the bottom part. So what happens is I'm in my home page, right? I can click on projects, it will bring me to the projects page. I can click on about, it will bring me to the about page, and it works perfectly, as you can see. I know the links look ugly, but again, styling isn't that important for this. I have a video talking about navbars. If you want to check it out, I'm going to put a card here at the top. I teach you guys how to build a really beautiful navbar in React. So if you're interested in that, go check out the video. But now that we have learned how to actually navigate through our website, it's actually starting to look pretty cool, right? We're able to go through different components, and you can see it's super fast because we're not refreshing our page. Now, what are some other interesting things that you can do with React Router? Well, there's actually something that you guys probably are not thinking about it right now, but you'll definitely encounter when you're working in an application, which is basically the case in which you want to click on a button, and that button will redirect you to somewhere else, right? It will send you to another page, because technically you can't make you're not making the button a link, right? You can do that, but it's not like, it wouldn't be the most efficient way of doing this. What you can do is you can use an API inside of React Router DOM called the History API, and it's actually pretty simple. What I'll do is I'll go to one of these pages. Let's do something like the About page, and I'll just create a button over here that says something like go to the, no, this is the projects page, but it doesn't really matter. So go to the About page, something like this. It's just a simple button. You can see that it should appear if we go to the projects page over here. What I want to do is I want to click on this button, and I want it to change automatically this URL to go to the About page. So how do we do that? Well, we can come here at the top and import from React Router DOM a hook called useHistory. And you can see immediately when I write use, there are many different hooks that comes with this API, and I'll go over useLocation and useParams. So if you're interested in that, stay along in the video because I'll teach you both of them. So useHistory is actually very simple. You just import the useHistory hook, and you can come here to your project, to your function, and at the top you just need to create a variable called history and set it equal to useHistory, like this. You don't even need to pass anything over here. And what happens is this variable over here, it's almost like it is an array, and this array will contain all the paths that you currently have been to, and it will automatically, when you push something to this array, to this list, it will send you to that location. It will you will constantly be inside of the route that is the last element in this array. So if you push something to this array, it will just send you to that location. If that doesn't make sense to you, you'll understand in a second. You can, for example, come to this button and have an on click like this, and this on click will very simply just come over here, and I'm just writing a function inside of this on click, and this function will just very simply say history.push like this, because it's an array, and we want to send it to the About page, to the /about. This is all you have to do. And now what happens is, let me just save all of this. I hate these things that appear. It's from an extension that I have, so it doesn't really matter. But you can see that I just pushed the About page to history when I click on this button. So let's see if that works. I'm in projects, right? If I click on this, you'll see we're now in the About page. Let's come back. If I click on this again, it will still send me to the About page. And if you want to take a better look at this, we can actually console log like this, console.log the history variable. You'll see what happens. What exactly does this represent? Let's open up the console log over here. So let me open up inspect. Let's go to the console, and let me just close this. Okay, that's fine. Now let's go to the projects page, and let's click on this. You can see that an array of 42 elements appeared. And you can see there's many things. It's actually an object. Sorry, it's not an array. But inside of it, there's the push property, which is what we're trying to do. And the great thing of this is it keeps track of previous locations. So that's something interesting as well. If you want to use that, that's definitely something that you should do. I like to think this as an array because you can basically go forward and go back, as you can see right here. It's really interesting. There's many properties you can check out if you want to, but this is how you actually navigate without using a link. Now I'm going to teach you guys about the other two hooks, right? Remember I showed you there's the useLocation and the useParams, right? I'm actually going to use both of them at the same time to show you guys what it means. First of all, I will show the useLocation hook because it's actually pretty interesting, and it comes in handy if you're creating a page not found component. So basically, the useLocation, it's pretty self-explanatory by the name. It literally just gives you all the information about your current location. So let's check that out. I'm gonna come to my page not found component, and I just want to import from this component React Router DOM, and I want to import the useLocation hook. So similar to the useHistory, it's super simple. Just come over here, create a variable called location, and just say useLocation like this. And basically this variable will have every single piece of information that you need to know about your current route, about your current location. So why is this interesting? Well, you can just come over here and this message will appear for every single user, right? But let's think about this. Let's try to customize this, because if I try to go to a page over here that doesn't exist, it just says, yo, page not found, right? We want to show something that is more specific, right? So you can say something like, sorry about that, the page, and we display, like, we show the name of the page over here doesn't exist. So we're customizing this so that people will be able to see, like, that we actually know which page they're trying to reach. And if we want to display the name of the page, we can say something like, okay, we want to the page location dot path name, and this will show exactly what they tried to reach. So let's check that. It's already showing. You can see, right? Sorry about that. I'll try to zoom in a bit so you guys can see it better. It says, sorry about that, the page, whatever I put here, doesn't exist. If I try to go to the page subscribe, it should say, sorry about that, the page subscribe doesn't exist. You can see we're customizing this, and there's many things you can actually do with the location API. You can come over here, and you can like search for stuff. You can apparently hash stuff. I've never like used every single thing from each hook. However, there's many things you can do. Let's just leave this as location.pathname. And finally, the last thing I want to show you guys in regards to the hooks is basically the useParams, which is one of my favorites because params are really important if you're using an application. And I'll actually come here to the home page, and we're going to display it inside of our home page. So basically, for those who don't know, params are ways to customize your route so that it's like getting variables from the URL itself. So what do I mean by that? Well, imagine you're here in your application and you want to go to the page, I don't know, like home, and you want to search, like, you want to search for something, right? You want to go to the page home, but you want to display the home page for, I don't know, like for myself, for Pedro. Imagine you have several home pages. This doesn't make sense, but like imagine you have several home pages, and each one is different for each user. So imagine you want to just display the one for Pedro. So you would go to /home/Pedro, but not necessarily you would create a different route on your app.js just to specify like /home/Pedro. It wouldn't make sense to create one for each user. Similar to when you go to Instagram or Facebook, you have a unique URL just for you. So how do they do that? Well, think about this. We can actually use this thing called params, which will allow us to customize our link so that we can grab information directly from our URL. So to do that, let's come here to our homepage, and let's import at the top the use params hook from React Router. And to actually make this work, we need to come to our homepage, our app.js, and we need to say that this should accept some sort of param. And to do that, we just need to come here to your page, to your route, and after the slash, like for example, in this case it's just like this, but if you were in the projects, you would put something like slash, and then you put the rest. But basically what you do is you put a variable that you want to grab from the URL. So for example, let's show that. Let's customize it and show the name of the person we want to display in the home page. So I could create something like /name, and you need to put the colon right here. And this now is a variable that you can automatically put in the URL and have access to whenever you have your page. And what happens is now, if I come here to my home.js, I can come over here and create a variable, destructure this from the useParams hook like this, and I can just grab the name variable like this, name. And now I can just display like this is the home page. You are, and I want to display the name of the person. So you are whatever the name is on the params. And now if I come here to the home page and go to localhost 3000/Pedro, it should display this is the home page, your Pedro. If I change this to /whatever, you'll see it will be exactly the same thing. But this is still the home page. It shows the same functionalities of this component over here. However, now we have access to this variable. And why is this useful? Well, there's many reasons for that. For example, if you're creating a profile page, and for example, think about Instagram. If you're creating a profile page, maybe you can put here the ID for a user. Like imagine the user is user this number over here. and you want to just display the profile information about for this unique ID, then you could come over here and create a path, a param called ID, and grab that ID and make an API call or something like that using that piece of information. So that's basically it for the useParams hook. And that's basically it for our tutorial. We went over a lot of stuff on React Router, and this is definitely all you need to know, in my opinion, to get started and using React Router into your application. It's not that complicated of a library, and it's really important because if you really are building applications that are going to be used in the real world, it's definitely something that you should know. And yeah, that's basically it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like down below and comment what you want to see next. Subscribe because I'm posting 3 times a week, and I would really appreciate it because it will massively help the channel grow, and it's just been a lot of work, so I would really appreciate it if you guys could help me. So that's basically it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I see you guys next time.